I want about theatre now, like all the plays I've done, acted in, cut to, and a little bit of all the plays I've seen, but like not all the plays I've seen, because I would not be able to make a video about all the plays I've seen or all the plays I've done, because it's like millions. But also I was thinking about it and going, yeah, when I was a kid, I would go to Edinburgh for the Fringe, and we would watch anti-communist theatre groups from Poland. We would fund them as well. My mum would just give them like wads of cash. My dad would give them wads of cash, like, you know, officially. Being like, we believe in this because we don't like corruption in our government and we believe in freedom. And my mom and dad were very Catholic, but like in a very modern way. And they believed there was good people and bad people. And they knew that the people doing theatre in Poland were good. And I just remember like the people who were changing lives and like risking their life in Poland in the 80s. I was born in 81, were like these revolutionary, their lives were at risk. The government was going to kill them. The Polish government, the communists were going to kill them. They killed other people, so why wouldn't they kill our pals? But they killed a lot of our pals, so we were like, this is actually crazy. And it was really like a battle that we never thought we were going to win. And then when the actual reality of Lech Wałęsa signing the document, the deal that was made, like the freedom document, the democracy document for the trade union, like he was like, I will start a trade union in a communist country. Even the communists are like, we don't want to organize that shit. Pope John Paul helped. So therefore what happened was Lech Wałęsa signed, as like in the way that like only a Polish person would have that sense of humor. Lech Wałęsa signed that document when all of his work for years was official and he was like freeing all the people. He signed the document with the Pope John Paul pen, which in Poland is like this to the government. At that time, the communist government didn't want you to be Catholic. They didn't believe in Catholicism. Like they didn't believe in the Black Madonna. Like Black Madonna is who Polish people pray to. We pray to Black Madonna, Black Jesus in a frame that is the original Jesus before all the other versions of Jesus, you know? So Polish people have the OG, like we know who we're praying to. And we know that Jesus in the frame that we pray to was not a white man, you know? Anyway, all of those truths, the people who were corrupt in Poland just didn't care about it. So the stuff I saw was like a Tadeusz Kantor show, where it was like a wedding and there were all these wedding dresses in the air. And I just remember I was like 7 or something and just like seeing all these wedding dresses like it was so Polish, like these lacy wedding dresses floating in the sky in the middle of the play, in like this tiny room for the play, was so good. And I remember in Poland seeing those plays again. In Krakow, they have a lot of like they've got a Kantor theatre like in every big city in Poland. And Tadeusz Kantor was this guiding light in the theatre. The passion. And I remember thinking, you know, if I could do that, if I could be like a freedom fighter and like a radical person who's like pro-democracy and like pro-freedom, I could do that. Like I could do this art form that's literally like, you could die doing this because they could kill you, but also it's a worthy thing to do. Then I remember thinking, you know, that's why I'm going to go to New York, because it seemed like the right place. The first thing I ever did on the stage in New York, I'm going to use my cough to drink my matcha here. Sometimes you have to add water to your matcha, especially on a day like this. Oh, and that needs milk as well. But I was like 17 in New York, and I had stayed to say to to people, I was like, yo, I want to be here, I want to study and also devote my life to the theater. When I went to say that to like the actors gang or whatever, they were like, well, you need to do a degree and then come back for a postgrad. And I was like, no, I'm 16, I'm ready to devote my life to the theater. Like, I'm gonna devote my life to the stage. Like, I was like, I'll give you all my arms and legs, I'll give you my hair, like, I'll give you everything to do that. And they were just like, no, you have to do a degree and then come back. And I was like, well, fucking is not up my alley at all. Like, I was so passionate, like I needed to do it then, right then. The only people who like responded to that passion were the Atlantic Theatre Company. Like, I remember Mark sitting in a meeting with him and saying all that shit to him and him being like, yeah, okay. And Kate, Bluebird, like all these people were like icons at the time of like the New York theatre that was happening. It was so cool to me that they were Neil Pepe, Mary McCann, like they were like these children of what David Mamet wrote and what William H. Macy wrote in their ideas about being a listener, like being a service to the acting community, like not being like someone who just cries in a corner, but actually like somebody who's listening to the other person and helping the scene and like being responsive to what the story is and like what maybe what your character is, not what you are, not what you're bringing emotionally. It was less self-obsessed. It was very Meisner. But it took Meisner and ran with it, and we would do like repeating where you would just be like, I'm happy, you're happy, you're happy, you're happy, you're happy. You're smiling, I'm smiling, you're smiling, I'm smiling. Like you would just say what is happening in the moment. You're freaking out, you're freaking out, you're freaking out. And then until something changed, you would repeat that. And the second it changed, you were aware of it. So it taught you like to freaking listen on the stage and not just be like, I'm here for me. Or not know what you're here for or whatever. But they said that our group, my class, and I feel like I took such responsibility for this because I was like 17 at the time. My class, they said they wanted to make us a theatre like company of our own. Which now I'm like, I don't know why we didn't do that. Like I wished we would have done that because they had not offered that to anyone since they made themselves a theatre company. And I was like, oh my God, like we should have done it. Because we were just all good. Like every person in our class was like incredible, interesting, good. Like we could all cry, we could all make each other laugh. Like we could all be funny, we could all be sad. Like everyone could do everything. We were good at Suzuki. Like Kelly Moore was teaching us. But the first thing I ever did, like I think I was a first year, the first thing I ever did on the stage, I played Kelly's part in Trainspotting, and I don't remember, I think Adam, who was Australian, was on the stage with me. I don't remember like much about it. I just remember that the first time I was on the stage at Atlantic was for the Trainspotting thing. And I just remember wearing like the kilt that I wore in Girls like 20 years later or whatever. That kilt is like from Marks and Spencer's. My granny, Babcia Bronya, bought that kilt for me when I was like 14. It's funny that I wore like a kilt on the stage for the first time, but what else was I gonna do? I was playing a Scottish character, and then also when I was doing the accents, I was so good at the accents that they just, like they were like, Mariana can do a South African accent, Mariana can do a Southern accent from Mississippi. She could do, like literally you could throw me in with any accent and I would do it perfectly, as if I was like a spy or Kate Blanchett or Meryl Streep, like that level of like, oh, she can do the accent. And also, therefore, I got to play Molly Malloy, the Dublin girl, who literally was based on a real woman from Dublin. And also, the front page was very feminist for its time. It was really anti-corruption. It was very about love. This woman like loved this guy that was on death row because he was innocent, actually. Like she might have been a prostitute to start with, but like she wasn't really a prostitute anymore. Plus the guy who she was in love with was just the nicest guy. He had been the one who was nice to her, and also she loved him because he was so nice. And then the press at the time were so powerful. They were the ones, like the newspapers were the ones that had the power over people, and they would manipulate people just to make stories. They would come up with random stuff like this person's a murderer or whatever. They would just say like the most salacious things to sell their newspapers, because the more salacious the story, the more the newspaper would sell. And Molly Malloy was very young and she understood that. She went into this room of all men and she fucking annihilates them with the truth. Like in the first scene, they're just like ignoring her, because literally at the time, men didn't even have to listen to women. Like they could just like zone a lady out if she was talking. So the first scene, they're like, we don't want to acknowledge anything she's saying, because why would we acknowledge this? Like, we've never been held accountable before. All the times that we've destroyed other people's lives, why would we be accountable now? So like, they're literally in this like slapstick comedy play that's very funny, and it's all about like them smoking cigarettes and like all this stuff. But like Molly is like the truth serum. But then the next time she comes in, the guy has died. On his death row chair, he's died. So like her lover, her future husband is over. He's dead and they killed him. And they're still fucking writing about it. So she shows up in the second scene and she is like off the charts, searching for justice, you know? And I remember every dude on the stage with me, every time I was in like Atlantic at that time, would do their performance by rote. It was the same shit they did every time. And like, that's not bad, because like, that's good. Sometimes for comedy, you need to do stuff like that. You need to keep it the same, but like timing wise, but like my character was very different. Like I could come in and be like, you guys are fucked. And let me show you how fucked you are today in a different way than I did yesterday, because you have to do the show so often. And I remember doing the show in the afternoon, doing it in the daytime, doing it in the evening, and just being like, these guys, like not even thinking about it, but just being able to bring the comeuppance that they deserved. And sometimes I would laugh, sometimes I would cry, sometimes I would be like screaming at them, sometimes I would be so quiet and saying my lines so quietly to them and just like looking in their faces. And I remember then what I would do is, the character is meant to like kill herself, she jumps out the window. So I would do that differently every day. Every time we did it, I would do it differently, and they never knew what was coming. So I think they were just like, oh my God. But I had friends who came to see it who thought it was great. I think John came to see it and he said, you all are better actors than me, and like take it all and run with it. You know what I mean? Like go for it and just do great. Like, because you're great. And I was just like, that is such a gift, artist to artist, like generation to generation, saying you were good and fucking keep going. It's like when Peter Mullen met me when I was 16 and he told me in Glasgow when I was like, maybe I was 15 or 16, I had this little like documentary I had made on my camcorder or something about my family, and Mullen was like, whatever it is about actors that they have that makes them talented, and like whatever it is, people say that they have it. And he was like, and you've got it. Mullen was like, you've got it, whatever it is. He was like, I don't know what it is, but you've got it. And it was such a cool thing, because he wasn't like, you know, you're a fucking priest goddess, or like you're some kind of like light worker, you know what I mean? Mullen wasn't like, you're an angel on earth or some shit. Like he said that to me when we did Neds, but like, which was true about the character as well, because Anne Beth is the angel in that film. But I was like, oh my God, to be given that thing, like whatever it is, you have it. When I was 15, I was like, right, I think I'm doing the right thing then. Because if he hadn't have said that, you're kind of like, as a teenager, you're kind of like, you're shooting in the dark a wee bit. Like you think you might be shooting blanks. You don't know. You're like, I don't know if it's good or what the fuck is happening, but like you try. So you just keep going until you fucking find your rhythm a wee bit, because you want it so much. Your dream is so clear to you. And the fact that it might be clear to the rest of the world is like a godsend. It's like a little sip of water in the desert. And you're just like, oh, thank God. Like somebody like actually said, you know, And then after that play, I just remember after Molly Malloy, the second year at Atlantic was like so professional, so fiery, so passionate. You know, we were doing Shakespeare, we were doing Clifford Odets, we were doing any film. We did Good Will Hunting. We did all this shit that was like, yo, these are really good scenes, you know. Noel Coward. we did we did a lot of comedies, like, God, I love California Suite. I had to have like a broken leg and I was like the tennis player wife, and I was just like, I think I did that for Lee Cohen, and Lee Cohen was like, Mariana, you should do SNL. You should be like, you should literally be like a regular on SNL. And I was like, that's a compliment, you know? And it's just like a nice thing to say to a human being. I was just like, oh my God. To say you've got the skills to be like a person on SNL is insanity. And also, yes, we just did a lot of the comedies, and God, they're funny, man. Like, when you read them out loud, they're funny as hell. There wasn't anybody, you know, like we would do a lot of Irish playwrights. There was a lot of people who were like making waves at that time. You know, Martin McDonagh was making waves. The Atlantic Theatre Company had just done Beauty Queen of Leenane. Oh, but I saw Mark Webber on stage. Yeah, when I hadn't even known Mark Webber, I only knew him as like a movie star guy, and then I like saw him on the stage at Atlantic, because Mark came to like our turf to do like what we had to deal with when he was on the stage, and I was just like, he is so good. And I was like, how the fuck did you get so good? Kind of no training. Like, he had done like some commercials, and then he did some films, and then he did stage, and you're like, fuck, man, he was like just off the charts, like had something. And I remember telling him, like, knowing that he was going to be kind of in my life forever. And then we were working together in London, working together in New York, working together in Los Angeles. Like, we in LA, I definitely cast him in Good Dick because I wanted him to play Derek and have like, he was like, I want to have black hair in this film. And I was like, you can fucking have any hair color you want to. Like, if he was like, I want to have like neon pink, I'd be like, do it. Yes. Mark said to me too, I was like, I was like, I just want you guys to learn the lines as they are written in the script. Like, we're not improvising. This is not an improv film. And Mark Webber was like, yeah, I like to learn the script exactly correct, because whatever the writer has in mind is usually better for the story than whatever we can think of necessarily in the moment. And I loved that Mark said that. He was just like, he's like, that's how I usually work. I usually like give myself over to the writer and serve that. And I was like, that's what I do as an actress as well. But he said that in rehearsal for Good Dick, and I just remember it. Like, I'm sure we all said a bunch of shit to each other about it, but like, that was the thing that he said that I was like, dang-a-ling. It's like harmony with me. And then, God, there were so many plays I saw in Los Angeles that were really good. Before I did Good Dick, like after I left New York, I was so depressed because I've been doing like all these shows, seeing every play in the world and doing all these like 8 shows a week, and then coming to Los Angeles was like a shock, because at the time there wasn't a lot of theater. There was the Actors Gang, but we hadn't had like this big pulsing of like Los Angeles theater like there is in New York. But then at the same time, like if you go to Pasadena Playhouse, or you go to like the Geffen in fucking Westwood where I worked, obviously I did Love, Loss and What I Wore at the Geffen. Nora Ephron, I was like the girl in that, and I was just like with these icons, with these incredible female icons, and like acting with them, and I was just like, this is insane. But it was cool as well because I remember when I was still writing the script for Good Dick, or I had written it, and I showed Cora and Jen, who are my producers for Good Dick, I showed them at a party, I think at Ione Skye's house. Like, I think Daphne Javich and like Catherine Waterston were having a party at Ione's house for some reason. I was invited and I was like talking to Cora and Jen, and Cora and Jen were going to do this film, but after that they needed to do another film, and I was like, why don't you read my script and like give me notes? I was like, I'll read your script, you read my script, give me notes, we'll give each other notes. We called each other like the next day or something, and they were like, yeah, we don't really want to give you notes, we just want to do the film with you. And I was like, okay, cool, that's cool. And then I was like, I have to go to Santa Barbara and be in Dublin Carol because I was cast in a play in Santa Barbara. That I love the Ensemble Theatre Company. Like, if you want to find me when I'm like 95, I will be at the Ensemble Theatre Company, like doing a one-woman show. Like, I don't care about anything else. I loved Montecito. I loved Santa Barbara. I love the Ensemble Theatre Company. I love the people that put the play on. Like, I loved my director, Jenny, female director. I was like, this is my life. Like, I could just die happy here. This is my heaven. Like, if you want to know what I'm doing in heaven, I'm doing Dublin Carol, the play where she has to like meet her dad and reconnect with her father. And it's very like paternal. It's very like, you know, the goddess is coming after Zeus being like, were you around or did you just like fuck off? Did you just piss off as a dad or were you around? Anyway, I was like, Dublin Carol was, and it's Dublin, which is like where my fucking granny is from. Like, my dad's mum is from Dublin. So I was just like, take that box, I could do this and with my eyes closed. And everyone loved the play. Like, all the people who go to the ensemble are like people from Santa Barbara and Montecito. They love theater. Like, the audiences are fucking real. They're so cool. They're like just crying for you. You're like crying for them. And I had like Rilke quotes that I would like write out and like put the whole thing up in the like walkway so that everyone could see like a Rilke quote before they went on stage. Because there's that like gauntlet where you're like walking onto the stage right before. And I was like, if there's like a Rilke quote, maybe some people will like that. Because I would always read it like every day, and it's like letters to a young artist or whatever. And it's just like pretty, like inspiring. And I remember like Stephen Anderson and Amberly Colson had given me a lot of quotes, like in theater, in acting class in LA. Amberly Colson was like my buddy in acting class, and we were just like passion queens where we just like sit and give each other notes and quotes and stuff. All we ever did was like share quotes to stay in the zone of what it is to be an actor, you know. And I remember Stephen Anderson talking about how my acting teacher in LA, how he had done Star Trek Next Generation. And I was like, if you have done Star Trek Next Generation, I need to talk to you. Like, I was just like, what was that like, you know? And he was like, well, they hired me because I told them, like, I just went into the audition and I was like that with the bow and arrow. Like, really, like I'm gonna fucking shoot somebody and like do that, you know, like what you do and you're really holding the bow and arrow. And like, the shit like that where you just like, you create it yourself sometimes. And then they go, oh, you're hired because he's gonna do that on set. And I just remember that, like, I remember that he gave us that gift. Like, if you could think of something like that, maybe you guys could get hired in your dream job, you know? And it's just very generous. Like, actors are so generous to each other. They're like, do you want my cake? Do you want all my ideas? Like, I'm always like, hey, here's my writing. Like, go, you know what I mean? Or like, if you have an idea or you want to remake my film, go. Like, go. And with the budgets of all my film, I'm really clear about what the budget is and how much we spend and all that, because I want people to clearly know where we spent what and how much it costs, but also that it makes its money back, that it's not a like a hobby. It's not like something you do on the side for free. It's not like you're not doing the world a favor. Like, this is a job. Like that song, you gotta have a job if you wanna be with me. But I remember doing Dublin Carol, go to Flashback, and being in the Ensemble Theatre Company, and it was like beachy vibes. I could go to the health food shop in, like, I literally still go there, because it's so good. It's called like Fair Oaks or something. It's like Morning Oats or something like that. It's not a regular, it's not like Erewhon where there's like a chain. It's just like one of them. In Santa Barbara, there's like one of these like health food shops, and it's like, and I was staying on the water. Like, the Ensemble Theatre Company put me up on the water for Dublin Carol, and I was like staying in this motel, and I loved it because it's like had a view of the ocean and Montecito. Like, you just like get away. But I remember doing the play every day, and I remember going to across the street from Ensemble Theatre Company. They still have this salad. It's like, I would get it like 5 times a day, but I'd pretend it was like once a day, but I'd be like, I'd have that for lunch, but I'd also have it like 5 more times. It's like blue cheese, lettuce leaves, pears, and like all this other stuff, and like a really cool sauce that you're like, oh my God, like the dressing. I would get that every day, and I was just like in heaven. And then also because of that, I got an equity card. So I was like, I'm in the Union for Acting for Theatre. Hello. It is official. Here we go. And I loved my equity card. I remember like phoning Equity all the time and being like, is there anything else you guys need from me? I'm just checking. You know what I mean? Like just being like, I have to phone my union again. And then I remember Jenny's notes, like my director's notes, just being so good. Like, like everything she said was right. And you're like, oh my God. And the way she blocked it, you're like, oh my God. So then I remember Cora and Jen had said, we want to just like have you, like the only note they had for the script for Good Dick was maybe we could foreshadow the character's sexual abuse a little bit. And I was like, okay. And they said something like, maybe like Tom Arnold was going to be the guy who played my dad. Like, we didn't know that at the time. Like, maybe the father's character could leave her a voice memo or like a voice message, and we just like hear all this crazy shit, you know? And I was like, and I knew what the idea was they were saying, but I knew that wasn't what I was going to do. But I was like, yes, I'm going to like answer that note, because I actually like literally address every note as a director. So I was like, yo, what we're going to do, I added the scene where she's like, it's like the crossword scene, crossword puzzle scene, where he's doing a crossword puzzle and she comes in and she like attacks him the way that her father attacked her. And then everyone was like, oh, like she's not necessarily like, do you know what I mean? It's not a voicemail. It's not a voicemail being left by Tom Arnold. It's a different type of scene, but it foreshadows her abuse, and everyone in the audience can be like, right, we know that something's going on here for that specific feeling. And then also Cora and Jen were like, that is so cool the way that you addressed our note but like made it your own or whatever. And I was like, definitely made it my own, but definitely addressed the note because it's such a good note. And then Cora and Jen also came to see the play, and then also all my mates from LA came to see the play, and John Roos came to see the play, and he had a house in Montecito, like a 2-bedroom beautiful fireplace house, and he was like, can you just stay in my house while you're doing the run? Why don't you just stay at my house? Because it's like we need someone to keep it like all going and safe and all that. And I said to the Ensemble Theatre Company, you guys can save money on this motel and just don't even pay for my hotel, and I'm gonna stay in a mansion house in Montecito instead. And they were like, good, that's cool, no worries. And then I, for the run of my play, like for so fucking long, stayed in Don Roos's house, and he was so nice. Like he just was like, here's the keys. I remember bringing ladies there who were like up and coming, like people who didn't know shit about American theatre but wanted to be in the theatre, or like somebody who was like had been an assistant, wanted to become a director, whatever it was. Like there were all these people I brought, and I remember showing them in the View, and we would just have these like female meetings, which turned out to be like the future of my life. Like this was me like 21 or something, but I also knew this was going to be part of my life where like you give back to the women because they like, do you know what I mean? They're the ones who raised us. And also that female vibe of a woman is magical and like can multitask and has these dreams and like can manifest for communities. It's not just like women, like a lot of dudes are like this too, where they manifest for their whole community. They don't just manifest for themselves as an individual. But I remember just being like, the magic of being able to share that view and the house with all these ladies who were like, had come up from LA or down from San Francisco to see the play, but then it ended up being like they, you know, wrote a script there, or they came up with their fucking company ideas or whatever it was. Like they were so, it's such a good place to get tapped in because it's so sunny. Everyone's got ideas. We believe in each other's dreams. We want to big each other up. Like we're each other's hype people, and we bring each other with us, kind of thing. Like I think Maya Angelou was like, when I walk into a room, it's not just me. It's like thousands of people that have raised me and my ancestors coming in with me. And I always feel like that, where it's like, it's not just me. It's like my whole community of ladies. that I'm employing or inspiring, or they're inspiring me. And then the other thing was, I remember when I went back to LA from having done the ensemble, we got good reviews, we got paid, we got like so much stuff from that play. And I was just like, people said you can't do theatre in the West Coast, and it's like everyone's doing theatre in the West Coast. So like, I don't know why everyone's saying that, but it's just funny because I felt as well like the plays, the thing, there's something about it where it's just such a sweetness. Theatre is so sweet. And I want to go back to Ensemble Theatre Company. Like, I want to go back in 5 minutes and just live in Santa Barbara as well, because I literally loved everything about it. And then the other thing is it's only like a few hours from Los Angeles. So you're kind of like, it's a very jammy situation. And then also, this is when I was so young, and then we did make Good Dick. And then after that, I did more plays because obviously the Actors Gang was happening. And I don't know where I was. I can't remember where I was. Like, I was at some party. I'm sure I was at a party or a play or something, or the opening of a play. Where was I? Okay, I met Mike Oppendahl, and I'm trying to remember where. I think it was because of Ted and Mary. I think because of Mary Steenburgen and Ted Danson. Like, Mike Oppendahl had worked with Ted or something. Maybe that was it. And then I was just like, yo, how you doing? And he was like, hi. And then he had seen Dublin Carol. His mum came to see Dublin Carol, which is a bonus. And then I remember, like, his mum really liked Dublin Carol, which is like, if you can get somebody's mum to like something, you know that you're not messing about. Because mums aren't gonna lie. And then he cast me in, I think he was gonna do the Martin McDonagh play at the Actors Gang small space anyway. He was gonna do it, and it was called oh my god, I played Geraldine, which is like the ideal character for me, and she falls in love with her priest. And it was called Your Dreams Are Coming True Fast, because I think, because it was also an Irish woman, I think it was just easy for me to do. But there's obviously like the two brothers who are so wild and crazy and just like smashing up all their like Mary figurines, and we're like, the stage was literally so small. It was like it wasn't even 99 seats. I don't know how many seats it was, but it was like tiny. But I remember like Mike Oppendahl just talking about how he wanted to bring that passion, but the level of like being scared as an audience member, like they are gonna get the figurine smashed in their face, like. And I remember being like, that is what it says on the plate, and also that is what it should be, but also like that's gonna be intense. My mum came. My mum was like crying. My mum still has the Lonesome West poster, which is like a Guinness. It's like a Guinness on top of like a Guinness floating on water like that. It's just like a great poster. And I remember how like we were trying to like be as good as the Actors Gang, because that's their company, you know, that's where the theater was. The Actors Gang stage is like where that was. So, you know, this is Tim's oh my god, I'm gonna just put my hair back. Tim's theater company, where you're just like, I hope we're doing you justice and all the plays you've done here justice, but also we got such good reviews. I don't know, like, because I didn't read them, but everybody said like that they thought that the characters were all really cool, and my character had to like fall in love with the priest and think she was going to be with him. And it's such like a genuine love. I was like, why wouldn't he love me back? And obviously because he's a priest, he's not allowed to, but you're like, oh. There's like this scene on the pier where she's like, I remember Geraldine's like trying to like do all these things with him and be like, you know, you're my priest, but like we can still get it on. And he's like, you know, he's not really going for it. So you're just like, oh, it's like unrequited love. If Geraldine, if she had a heart story, her heart story is unrequited love, and you're just like, that's a bit sad. But the Lonesome West is off the charts. Like, it's fiery. Like, it's supposed to be like a kind of life or death feeling. You're supposed to feel like those figurines of Mary could kill you in the audience. And that's what it felt like every day. And we went through thousands of those little figurines. Like, we literally destroyed them all. And it was so fun. And then I remember after that kind of being like, all right, let's go. Like, Good Dick was kind of after that. And I felt like I could do anything after doing these plays. And I remember just the sensation of going from like being a play actress in plays to like becoming a film director. And it was just dead easy. But I don't know why it was, like, it just was. And then I remember also being inspired by theater for the rest of my life. Obviously, like, whenever I go to New York, I see like 25 plays. I saw Jerusalem in New York when I was unaware of even who the fuck Mark Rylance was. I'd never seen Mark Rylance in anything. And then I saw Jerusalem and I was just like, this is crazy. I have to come back the next night. I had seen it on like St. George's Day. Like, I happened to go on St. fucking George's Day, like, which is like the national holiday, like the national day of England. And I was just like, he was crying. I was crying as well because he was like talking to me because like he knew I was like gypsy blood because my mom has all this gypsy blood. So he's talking about like Roma people or whatever, and I'm literally that. So I was just like, this is insanity. And then like took my mum. Because I was like, Basha, we're going to New York for like 5 days. You meet me in New York. I'll meet you in the middle. Because I didn't want to like not have her see the play. She saw Jerusalem. And I also took her to see Doubt. I remember going to see Doubt. And my mom and I were like, oh my God. And she was like, he didn't do it. And I was like, he did it. The priest totally fucking did it. And my mom was like, he didn't do it. So we had like different ideas about what the fucking whole play was when we saw Doubt. And I was like, oh my God. But then with Jerusalem, it was like, you can't deny that play changed everybody's lives who's seen it. Like, you cry, you laugh, you're elated, you're doing a standing ovation. You're like, it's the first standing ovation for Jerusalem where I was like, this is actually that I was part of in my life. Because everything I've always gone to has always had standing ovations, but it was like this feeling of like, here we go, and now the standing ovation. But Jerusalem was like, it happened and it was so wild and crazy that by the time it was over, you didn't even realize that you did the standing ovation because it's part of the whole thing, and you're just screaming, standing in the air and like standing up for the people who just changed your life. And like, it was this mass healing that you didn't even think about. And then only afterwards are you like, oh yeah, there was a standing ovation. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. But you're also in the moment and it's such a part of it that it's not like we all wished. It was like being wined and dined, but no cigar kind of thing where you're like, wait, what's happening? Like, all the plays before that had kind of been like, that I'd seen were like this thing where you want to have a standing ovation. You want to be part of something that's changed your life. You want the theater to be this thing that it can be like church. And you want it to like radicalize you and like have you feel safe and all these things. And so you did standing ovation because you want that feeling. But then you realize, when I went to Jerusalem, I realized all the standing ovations that I had been a part of as an audience member before were just fucking bullshit. Like, they were nothing compared to what a real standing ovation is. And when you have a real standing ovation, like the one in Jerusalem, and it was in New York, I saw it in New York. I went so many times to see it in New York, even though it started in London. Jez Butterworth was like insane. I was just like, oh my God. And my mom and I were staying at the Ace Hotel in New York. And I just remember taking pictures of my mom with all this like cow skin behind her because we were like in a suite in the Ace Hotel. And I remember going downstairs because I used to smoke cigarettes for 5 minutes. I didn't smoke a lot of cigarettes, but at that time I was smoking because it was like an organic menthol honey coated cigarette. Nat Sherman menthols was the organic tobacco that I had. And they were really sweet. So it wasn't like a proper cigarette. And then I also didn't smoke a lot, but I just remember going downstairs with my mom outside onto the street in New York, like on like 23rd Street, 28th Street, 29th Street. I can't remember what street in New York it is on. But in the Ace Hotel, we're standing outside, and I just remember like my mum making me laugh because the Stumptown Coffee guys were like, Basha, do you want another cappuccino? Because she's like best pals with anyone. Who internationally, if you drop my mum in on any planet in the universe, or like in any country or any city, within 3 seconds my mum will find the best coffee place, and like all the baristas know her name, and she's best pals with them, and she just knows them. She knows their granny, she knows their mums. And I was just like, this is funny, like she hadn't even been there 2 minutes, and they're like, Basha, do you want another cappuccino? And I was just smoking, being like, this is so class. Like, I'm glad my mum has found her way, because the first time she came to visit me in New York, I lived in Washington Heights, and there's a beeping, this is approving of my story. I lived in Washington Heights, and my mum, I was at Atlantic. I was like also doing a lot of stuff to just like make the money or whatever. My mum was like, yo, she walked it from Washington Heights through Harlem to Canal Street, like Chinatown and back, which is like 200 blocks or something, which is a long fucking walk, you know, but for a Scottish person, that's not that long. But also, like, she went through all these areas that were like rough, normal, artistic, not artistic, like basic, fucking inspiring. And all she did was like, she did some graffiti art on the streets. Like, she put some of her poems on the streets, and I was like, this is so her. Like, of all the people to bring the fucking vibe to New York, my mom, when I was like I was like 19. I was at 19, I was still studying at the Atlantic Theatre Company, like my theatre company in New York. And I was like, Basha Polka, you come here and you just like raise the energy of the city so immediately. Like, she's so creative. She's like fucking Banksy or something. She can't just like go anywhere and not be an artist. And I was like, I don't know, I just don't know anybody else's mom who's like that. Like, there's not a lot of people where you could be like, oh yeah, so my mom's just decided to be a graffiti artist when she got to New York immediately. You know, like, she's just inspired by places. So like, that's the thing you know about New York. When New York is, it's like a wind at your back. You know that like creatively it's got your back because there's so much creative shit happening. So that feeling of magic, like, it's magic hour. You can feel like there's this pink. I decided to stay in New York when it was magic hour. I didn't decide to stay in New York when the buildings were normal. Like, the magic hour that happens in that city is like so beautiful, and like it really like, it like coats all your dreams in this idea that you can make your dreams come true. Whatever it is, you can do it. And I really loved that my dreams came true in New York so fast for me. So fast. And then this idea that you have the theatre as like a part of the weather there. It's like bread and butter. It's like sunshine and biscuits. You're like, yes. And then I also remember just having like a bagel a day in New York when I was a student there, and like one wee orange juice from the bagel place in Chelsea Market. And I would go to Sarah Beth's and just be like, this is so cozy. It's so cozy, like in the Chelsea Market across the street from where the Atlantic Theatre Company now is in the Google building. It's fancy. Now it's schmancy. When I was there, it was just in like a wee pokey wee room. The Atlantic Theatre Company was like 3 pokey wee rooms, like across from the Chelsea Market, right before you got to the water. Really special on like 16th Street. It was on West 16th Street. And I remember just being like, that's where I took Peter Mullen and Mary Mullen. We all like, because Mullen was like in New York to do a job or something. And I showed him the theatre company, and Mullen was like, this is cool. Okay, this is cool. And I was like, yeah. And it would have been a different story. Like, now it's in the Google building, so it's just like a whole other story. You need to like beep to get in and stuff. When I was there, it was so like organic. And I remember how like people would come and visit me, and I just remember being like, Sammy came to visit, and I remember Sammy and I have birthdays. My birthday's 7th of September, and her birthday's the 14th of September. My best friend Sammy Mungru, we were raised together in the same like on the same street in Thornton Hall. And I remember being like, 2 years old with her is when I met her, and she taught me English, like all this stuff. But I remember also she was there when it was September 11th, and she was doing sculpture at Glasgow Art School at that time. We were sitting like having a sushi at Go Sushi or something on like 6th Avenue, and I was talking to her. We were sitting outside, and I was talking to her about like using the Twin Towers as an example of like a sculptural thing that we were talking about. And I don't remember the conversation, but I just remember she pointed to the Twin Towers, Sammy, who literally like had never been in New York in her fucking life, but she pointed to the Twin Towers like she'd only been in New York for like 2 hours or something, or a few days or something. But it was like she came for my birthday, for our birthdays. She came to hang out for like 2 weeks for the 7th, and her birthday on the 14th, but like of September. But my thing was, she'd never been to New York before, so she's literally like sitting there. I think we'd already celebrated my birthday. She's pointing to Twin Towers like the night before. This is like the 10th of September. She's pointing to the Twin Towers, using it as an example about a sculpture thing. And I was like, yeah. And then we just talked about that thing and kept both of us pointing to the Twin Towers for the whole conversation. And then we went home and woke up the next day and the Twin Towers were gone. And like my Irish roommate was like, Mariana, you need to phone home. It was like 9 a.m. and I was like, what do you mean? And I turned the TV on in my room. I was like, why am I supposed to phone home? Like, did Basha phone I'm like, maybe my mum phoned my roommate, my Irish roommate. Like, that's weird. And then Sammy and I have the TV on in our room because we've all been woken up by my Irish roommate. And we see, this is like 9 a.m. and we see the second tower hit like live on TV. And for me as a New Yorker, it was insane. For Sammy as a fucking tourist, it was insane. And then we're kind of like stuck. We could smell like debris, dead bodies. You could smell this like horrible smell of like, when you smell like the smell of like burnt hair, where it's like, or burnt chicken bones or something, where you're just like, that smells rank. It smelled like that for so long in New York. The phone lines were down as well, so they couldn't contact us. So that's why we tried to phone home and nobody would answer. Like, we tried calling, and I don't know if we like eventually got my mum after a long time or what happened, because the phone lines were down, and or maybe we were like, we're okay, and then they put the phone lines down or something. I think I phoned my mum and I was like, we're okay, and right after that all the phone lines were off or something. I literally blocked it out because it was so traumatizing. And then we went to Daphne's house, Daphne's mum and dad's flat, like on the Upper West Side, and I just like rode out the insanity of what was happening. And also Sammy's birthday was on the 14th, because we always celebrate our birthdays at the same time, because it was the same year, same week, same year. And it was such a different story. We didn't even celebrate her birthday. Like, it wasn't even like a thing, because my birthday was like a big celebration on the 7th, and then it was like, fuck it, you know, we weren't thinking about birthdays. And then we're thinking of like, was there going to be another attack? Are we going to live or die? All the guys that I knew who were like firemen had like wolf whistled me. When I was working at Rice, there was like so many different downtown in Nolita, there were so many different fire stations, like Lafayette was one. They would all like wolf whistle me, and I would just be like, oh my God, like I'm in pajamas, I look fucking crazy, like I have like bags under my eyes, I have greasy hair, like why am I getting wolf whistled? Do you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to like go up to them and be like, guys, can you fuck off? Like, that's fucking weird, you're supposed to be firemen in this community. Like, and they wouldn't even, it wasn't even if I had it, like I should have had a ball gown on or something for them to whistle that much. And it just fucked me off, because I was like, there's so many reasons why catcalling in New York was like such an issue at the time, because like it still is, but like I used to have a card that was like, hi, you're a pervert. It was like, hi, you're a pervert, you can call 1-800 da-da-da, like you just catcalled me, you wolf whistled at me, you said some shit about me that I didn't ever consent to, so can you phone this phone number, you need help, you're a pervert, you know. I literally was like the only answer, because so many people, that everyone I know who was a woman was like dealing with the catcalling. Like, it was like of all ages, of all like everything. It was not like, the thing about the catcalling is they would catcall anyone at any time, just every single second, and it was like, that's crazy. If someone consents to it, it's a totally different story. Maybe some lady would like that. Everyone that I ever talked to who was female was like, this is my nightmare, I hate it, I feel like they're gonna kill me, or they're gonna like attack me or something, or like it's just like crazy. It puts you on guard and you're like, shit, something bad's gonna happen. And like you just don't want bad things to happen on the street. You want to feel safe on the street. You want to feel like those guys have your back instead of like they're your enemy, you know? You want to feel like they're good guys, not bad guys. But all these things were true. And I remember just being like, I don't want to live in a world where like my niece has to deal with this, or my nieces with pals who are like gonna grow up and have to deal with this. Like I was like, fuck, like I'll have to fix it so they don't have to deal with it, you know? You just don't want the little ones to have to deal with it, or older ladies too. Like you just are like, oh my god, like don't do it to the ladies who should be given respect because they're like old enough to have respect. But anyway, whatever. I remember the thing about 9/11 was that station, that fire station at Lafayette, and they were all like this, but they all had like, all of Union Square was candles and like pictures of people who were dead that there was never coming back, like thousands of people who were like, this person's missing, but it was like they're dead, they're never coming back. And also like the thing is, there was no bodies to find in the rubble, they were just all dead. And then it was the same with the firemen, like they had lost 95% of their dudes, or 80% of their dudes, and especially like the downtown stations just lost so many of their firemen. And instead of them like wolf whistling at me, from then on, they just like met my eye. And the guys who had survived just would go like that to me. And I would just go like that to them. And from then on, even now when I go back to that hood, that's what happens. Like they just fucking remember your face. And it's this thing of like, you survived, I survived. You know, he's kind of like, the firemen and everyone in the area was like, oh, like these are the people who survived, kind of thing. Like there's people who didn't survive, and you'd go to like your wee bodega and get like a Coke or something, or soda water. I never drank Coca-Cola, but you get soda water, and the guy from the bodega would be like, oh, your fucking face, like you survived, kind of thing. And then you started chatting as if it was a small town. Like you'd be like, right, so what's your name? Like, okay, I'm Mariana, right? And then you were just best pals from then on. So it made the city make you make eye contact with everyone you came into contact with for like the next 5 years. Everyone was just like living in a small town. It didn't feel like New York before that, which was so like anonymous and like no one gave a shit about anybody. Like it was really like a euphoria for a moment, a euphoric place. And I remember having these big discussions being like, yo, this is like, everyone's on the world and that's on the side of America, like everyone's on the side of America, and like it's so good for like diplomacy right now. Like there's so much goodwill out there for America. And then when it turned into a war, everybody was just kind of like, oh, we dropped the goodwill bomb, because people are like, it's not the same thing to start like retaliating. Like it was so difficult. And then I just remember the idea that like all these people died in New York, we don't want more deaths. And then it was more deaths. You're just like, okay, so it was a challenging time for that reason. And the dynamics of the city are always so real. And then I remember seeing a lot of plays about it. Yeah, it was insane. I remember this idea that you couldn't, like Neil LaBute had a play about a man who was like having an affair, but then like was supposed to be in the Twin Towers. And then that guy actually couldn't go back to his wife because he wasn't able to, because she thought he was dead. And he couldn't say, I'm shagging somebody else. So he couldn't admit that. So he was just like, right, I'm gonna go like create a new identity. The idea that it was like the best of people and the worst of people, and it felt like that, you know. I also remember seeing Bryce in a play at Manhattan Theatre Club, and she had like her backpack and a yoga mat, and I was like, this is so hardcore, because of course she has to have her yoga mat like attached to her, because in New York you leave your place and everything that you have, you leave your flat, you leave your apartment, everything that you're going to do that day is on your back, and you have to carry it through the whole city. It's like, even if you're if you, I don't know, like nobody drives a car in New York, but like even if you had a car, you still had to carry the shit on your back because you're not gonna like go back to your car. You know what I mean? Like it's not a thing of like my car's parked here. Like in Scotland, you can be like the car's parked here, so like what are we gonna do? Like in New York, it's like no, you just have to like walk around with all your shit on your back no matter what. And I just there's something about that I love. Oh my god, I loved Greenpoint, the Polish area. I loved going to Roberta's because Noah Gershman started. He's like one of my best friends, and he started Roberta's restaurant. Oh, so delicious. But I remember going back to New York when I was doing Happy TV show as a director, and we closed down 6th Avenue. It was Chris Maloney, Patrick McManus. They were my bosses, and they just like hired me because they saw Bitch. They saw my movie Bitch, and they were like, right, you have to do 2 episodes of Happy TV show, our 2nd season. And I was like, oh my god, that's going to be the Easter season. And I did like all these pastel nails, like pastel gel nails. And I was like, this is the color. These are the colors of the season. This is for the, like, I said, this is the colors for my 2 episodes. And then I like got everyone to take colors of my take pictures of my nails. I like the heads of department, like production design, and the guys who were doing all the graphic VFX and stuff like that. You're like, oh my god. And also the customer as well be like, yo, this is the thing. So they were all taking pictures of my nails, and then I remember like McManus and the rest of the team were like, well, we're just gonna use that color wheel for the whole season. So take your color wheel from these episodes and make it the whole season. And I was like, that is such a gift to me. And also like, oh yes, you know. But then the idea that you could go back to New York and be like balling, because I was like driving around in a limousine because I'm DGA director, so you have to get like, there's a driver, you have to be picked up from the airport, you have to have like a fancy apartment. Like I stayed in like Fort Greene. I was just such a fancy high rise. Like I went to see like Serena Williams play on my birthday when I was doing Happy TV show as a director. I went to see Serena Williams play at like the US Open, and would just go to really nice restaurants in Fort Greene, like peeps. There's so many good restaurants. Evangeline is like my favorite, but like there's so many good ones. I love Sons and Daughters, or Fathers and Daughters, or Masons and Sons or something it's called, like because in Williamsburg there's like this place that has the best food. Oh my god. Just like there's really good places everywhere in New York. I worked at Jules. I loved Jules, the French restaurant, and I was just like, I lived there because there's so many like French people who I could just speak French in New York and like just be there and like be Euro with them. And then I just remember seeing 1,000 plays, and when I saw Bryce in the play, I remember feeling how cozy it was. Like just like, that is so cozy. She was so good. And I remember wanting to have this idea that you could have summer in New York, you could have oysters, you could have whatever you want, you know. The idea as well that you would be in like a place that has a gluten-free bakery, like all these things where you're like, oh my god, like all these cupcakes are gluten-free. But the plays that really changed my life were not only there but in Britain, because I love the Globe and I love anything that they do in London. Like I saw James McAvoy do his Scottish accent when he was doing. Oh my god, there's such a nice, really clean van outside. I don't know why that's so clean. It's like sparkly. Somebody cleaned the top of that van. Yeah, James McAvoy. I was wearing like sparkly tights, sparkly dress. I had like two sparkly tights. I had sparkle tights, and then I had like sparkle fishnets, like what I had given Chris Maloney in Happy to wear. I like had to give him my own tights because they couldn't find what I was saying. Like I was like, I want you to have sparkle fishnets in the opening of this of my episode, and Chris Maloney was like, yeah. And the costume designer was like, we can't find them like in his size in time for the thing, but I was like, well, let's see if he'll try mine on and see if they'll fit him. And then they did fit him, and I was kind of like, is it weird that like my legs and my bum are the same size as Chris Maloney's. Is that weird? Or is that a compliment to him or me? I don't know who it's a compliment to, but it's just funny as hell, and that's what he wore in the show. Just for that, like, just for the sparkle fishnets alone, you should watch, because we also rack focus, like, from like one chunk of his thigh onto like another chunk of his thigh, and like people are like, oh shit, this is like a female gaze now. And a female gaze tappy TV show, like, you're welcome. And then also after that, I went to the play that was in London because I was going to see Dallas Smith for some reason, my agent, about something, and I had my sparkly dress on, or I had a sparkle dress to wear to something, but I didn't necessarily wear it to my meeting with Dallas. But Dallas was like, you should go see McAvoy because he's in the best show right now. You can sit in the front row and like go backstage after, and like it's gonna be like, Dallas never sends me to anything unless it's like really, really good. And this was really, really good. It was his Cyrano. So it was McAvoy doing a Glasgow accent as Cyrano de Bergerac. And I was like, I've been waiting to see this shit my entire life. And I was just sitting in the front row, like salivating, being like, this is like the answer to plays right here. Like, you couldn't get a better show or a better performance. And I was just like with him the whole time. And also Cyrano is such a sad but like such a justified character. Like, he's got a lot of justice on his side. And then I remember just going backstage and saying to James McAvoy, listen boy, like, you did such a good job for Scotland. Like, Sean Connery would be proud of you. Like, Sean Connery, who gave me an award, is like, I felt like he was in the room. Also, this idea that like the rooms, like people's stage rooms or people's like dressing rooms in the theater are fucking tiny. It's not even like a trailer. It's like tinier than a trailer. So you literally have like a desk or something. Like, maybe it's like the size of this. It feels like the size of a phone or something. Where you're just like, his dressing room is tiny. But I was like saying all this shit to him, and McAvoy was like, Mariana, that means a lot to me because some people just come here and want to talk to me about the football. Like, some Scottish people just want to talk to me about the football. See the performance and just want to talk about the football after. And I'm like, who would come to see theatre, come to talk to you, like get free tickets from you and then say, I want to talk about the football? No matter what's, like, I fucking love football. No matter what's going on with football, I think theatre is more important, you know? And we were just laughing about that. Like, I was like, oh my God, like the shit you had to go through. Like, do a whole show and somebody's like, let's talk about the football in Scotland. And then also, he said to me, I like your tights. And I said back to him, double tights. Which is such like a Virgo response. But also, he doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, obviously. Because like, not every dude on the planet understands what tights are necessarily. And also the fact that like, I knew it was double tights. Because I had put like one layer on and then put the sparkle fishnets over that, so it looked really good. And then it was like a whole thing, and Natalie Clark loves that story because she's like, double tights, that'll go down in the like fucking Palka book of what happens when she hung out with people. Double tights, I like your tights, double tights. Yeah, I've got double tights or something. Like, I laugh remembering it. And this idea that plays can really change lives. That's sort of why we do the theatre, you know? I saw the Mahabharata at the tramway. As a kid, I saw like this Russian play that was like 5 days long at the tramway that literally people had to like come in and out of for 5 days. Like, the audience were like, it was like an Ironman or something, like triathlon thing where you're just like, it's the same people, it's multiple days, we're fucking going at it. Like, it was so like, with my dad, I just remember being like, I can't even read. Like, I couldn't even read the translation at the time. So I was just sitting there, like, the English translation, I couldn't read it. So I was just like sitting in this Russian play for days, and my dad was getting it because he could read the fucking hours of this story. And I just remember being like, oh my God. I remember at the Citizens when I was a kid going to the Citizens, and I don't remember why somebody was naked, but I saw somebody's bum on the stage, like a man's bum on the stage at the Citizens as a kid, and I don't remember what the play was. But it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like a comedy. It wasn't like it was quite serious, and I don't remember what it was. It wasn't like a panto. Like Neil Gaiman said to me, do you want to come and do a panto for me and the BBC and Amazon? Just come to South Africa and be part of our panto. And I thought he meant they're doing a real panto, but they were doing Good Omens. And I was like, oh, this is the biggest show that anyone's ever made in the history of TV. Biggest show that BBC's ever put money into. Biggest show that Amazon's ever put money into. And they both like went off the charts in terms of their budget, like simultaneously. If they did it once, that's fine, but they each did it twice. And I was like, that's a lot of money. But I stayed in South Africa. You know, I was like staying in a hotel across Table Mountain. I was going to the gym with my heels on because I didn't have like trainers, you know, so I still would go to the gym even though it was like heel time. And I also had the best fucking food. I love Victoria and Albert Waterfront. I love the fucking M&S that's there. I love everything about South Africa. I loved all the beaches. Like I loved Cape Town specifically. Like I loved the whole fucking country, obviously, but like there's something about Table Mountain that just feels like magical. The fucking food is like unbelievable, but I didn't even see any plays there. But I know you could say there's a lot of really good comedians from there. And I remember feeling like the plays, I haven't even started because I'm only like still in midlife, so I'm still going to see more plays, you know. And the idea that you could go to a play, like the plays I just saw at the Citizens in Glasgow last year, are so beautiful. The Beast was great at Christmas. I loved all these plays, and I like this idea that, oh, I just went also to the Public Theatre in New York, and last year I saw like on Lafayette, I saw this very good play that Josh Radnor was in. He got me to come and see it, and I was like crying because he's so good in it. And I just cried with him after. Like it was just like, he was like, I want to work with you. I was like, I want to work with you too. And like, you feel this camaraderie amongst artists because we've been doing this work, you know. Like I remember being in New York for the Lion's Mouth Opens when HBO was just like making a big deal of our film because it was like shortlisted for an Oscar. It was like changing the world, and then that film definitely had this impact on the Phoenix Project is happening and all these projects that are like really positive health-wise for that whole thing where you go, I'm kind of like, right, okay, so the stuff I've been doing didn't waste my time or somebody else's time. Like it was worth it to do those things when we thought there was no hope. It was worth it to still work and still make something and create something anyway. And, you know, you might not be sure about this thing or that, but you do know that it's good to work or it's good to put something out there. And working with people in the theatre feels like what the Globe really is in the summer when you go see A Midsummer's Night Dream and they talk about the summer and looking up at the sky, and it is summer and you're sitting there, and this was like, Shakespeare wrote that shit in 1600s and it's still fucking true. You're sitting in the theatre and it's still summer and it's still true. That wild feeling of like, it's summertime and it's a play. I used to sit outside like when I was living like in all these shitty parts of New York. I lived in such shitty parts of New York, but I was sitting outside the Public Theatre, you know, waiting for the show, you know, waiting for Uncle Vanya, Meryl Streep and Kevin Kline and Natalie Portman were all in this play, and it was like the Shakespeare in the Park is free, so you just sit and you wait to get a ticket. And we slept on the street because we wanted to go to the play the next night. And that's what happens. And everyone, like, there's bankers, there's people who are like Upper West Siders, Upper East Siders, you know, you see everybody. You see people from the hood, you see people from your hood, you see people from other hoods. Like, it's all so, like, democracy is such a democracy, an example of democracy, because like everybody has to sit down and wait. Nobody can like buy a ticket to Shakespeare in the Park. It's free, but you have to sit in line and get it. So then this feeling of having that ticket and knowing that you could go the next night, and you just were like bawling. And I remember seeing Meryl Streep do a cartwheel on the stage. And she's talking about that she's still vibrant and stuff. You're like, yeah, you fucking are, because I can't do a cartwheel on the stage. Nobody else could do a fucking cartwheel on the stage. And Kevin Kline's like, that's our girl, you know? And like, just the enjoyment of what it means to do. Like Elizabeth Waterston was like, it's the best job in New York. Like, 'cause she was doing Shakespeare in the Park, and she was like, it's the best job in New York. It's the best job in New York. Like, it is this summer. It's outside. It's like the audience has just sat overnight, slept on the street overnight to get your to get the ticket. Like, I think they love theater, you know. So you're like you're doing it to an easy audience. I feel like that about the Henry plays as well. I love all the fucking Henry plays. Love Falstaff. I love that he's fucking mental, and he just like takes everyone's agenda and like shakes it up and throws it away, and fucks with the king and all this, and fucks with the prince, and you're just like, oh my god. The feeling that you could just be swept away. And I remember seeing Gail Rankin, my glow sister, as well, at the Public doing Shakespeare, and I remember saying to her, yo, you know how like her Hamlet was really Oscar, and I was like, yo, I've never seen Ophelia played where she's not foreshadowing his mental illness. Ophelia's always like starts crazy kind of and then gets worse, but also stays the same, or he's just kind of, it's kind of like she's been a mishmash of like, this lady's kind of crazy-ish from the beginning. But my thing is like, oh, it's much better if she's thinks like she's in love with him, and they're going to be okay, and they're going to get like they have a future. They've got everything because he's beautiful and she's beautiful. Like, why would they not have everything? And then when he starts to go a wee bit mental, you're like, oh, wait a minute. But what about Ophelia's dream? You know, you feel the loss of it immediately. And then like by the third act, you're like, there was so much to lose. And that's why I said to Gail Rankin, she's my glow sister, but she also played Ophelia on the stage when I was there to see Hamlet. And I was just like, it is shocking. I was like, it's shocking that Ophelia has so much to lose. And if you play the sanity and you play the normal, like the monogamy, the sweetness of their relationship, if you play that, then it was like, oh my god, there's much more pain then in the end, and it's more potent. Because there's a lot of people who just think that Hamlet's mental from the beginning and question him kind of from the beginning, and that's not the way to play Ophelia. It's not having a guy's back. So anyway, the other thing is, I remember Cleopatra and like the purple the sails, and the feeling of like this woman who's so beautiful and ethereal and untouchable and like a queen, but so sexual. That idea that it's really not Antony's night, you know, it's not like, it's not Mark Antony's night, it's not Caesar's night, it's nobody's night except it's Ophelia's. It's not Ophelia's night, but it's like, it's Cleopatra's night, where you're like, oh my god, like she's literally the person this play is about. And Shakespeare knew that, you know, he wasn't trying to fuck the story up. Like, he was like, this is what happens, like it's really her tale, and the audience is really on her side, you know. This whole thing that like the the fear, the intensity of being around at that time as a monarch, because you could get killed, but you could kill your wife, your cousin, everyone would just kill you at that time. It was like, if you had brothers and sisters, you just kill them all because they were like in line for the throne or whatever, and you just didn't want to not be the one who's royal or the one who's the sovereign. So you would just, anything would happen just to make sure that you were the one who was the one with power. And that's very different. It's very different to excel after that and just be like, you know what, fuck what's happened to get me here, like I am the queen. There's something really interesting about that psychologically. It's insane if you think about it. And that these like brothers and sisters through time just got shafted. So shafted. And I think that the idea that you could have a woman who's all powerful, in her body, sensual, like the greatest lover on the planet, and do you know what I mean? She's like everybody's lover, because not only was she like, she wasn't just Mark Antony's lover. When we meet her in the play, she's Mark Antony's lover, but she was Julius Caesar's lover before that. And you're just like, this chick got around. Like, to be from Egypt when he's like they're from like Rome, it's far away, but like they traveled for years to get to each other, and they would just make it work. It's like, it's crazy. The idea that she's someone that they all talked about, everyone was like chatting about her. The people who say, the guy who says Purple the Sails is just some guy. He's just a soldier on the street who like saw her pass, but he's like, wow, like this is what it means for, in those days, that's what it meant to be famous, you know. That literally like the parts of her outfit that were gold would like seep off of her, like oozing. It was like oozing off of her, this like glory, you know, and you couldn't help but be blinded by it, you know. And like fucking which man is gonna tap into that and be like, this is my lover, you know? You have to be some kind of like king yourself to do that, you know. And it's just all so complicated. It's so deep. They couldn't have chosen a more intense story. Cleopatra, Jesus fucking Christ. I also love Othello, because we all know about jealousy, you know, but Othello's really like the play about jealousy, what jealousy can do, how it like destroys your love, it like twists your heart, it like, jealousy is not love. And this idea that Desdemona could be the ideal woman, but also she thinks she's the ideal woman, but also Cassio's like got such a twisted plan, and he really wants to make Othello the villain. And you're just like, why would he do that? But it's for power. It's not just that he can turn the jealousy on in these lovers to the max, and then they're so jealous and confused about everything. But she can't even say his name. Desdemona can't even say Cassio. She can't even say Cassio in one of these, in the death scene. She can't even say Cassio. She's like, get the guy to send for him instead of Cassio, because if you say send for Cassio, he'll get even more enraged, because she knows that he thinks that they're guilty of sleeping with each other. So she can't even say the guy's name that he doesn't want her to say. So she says, ask him, instead of like, ask Cassio. And that's just great writing as well. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. And then she fucking dies. She's killed. He kills her. He kills her. And getting to that point of the play, you're on the edge of your seat. You feel like, you know, everybody's gonna die in that there, because you think the jealousy just destroyed them. It's like a fire that starts so quickly, and jealousy is just like a lighter a light to a flame and it goes like that. You're just like, and therefore it just blows everything up. It blows up love. And that's why you can't be jealous of anyone, of friends. This idea that you should have a thing or be jealous, or like somebody's got something you want, or you wish that you had this thing. It's like, oh my God, the grass is not greener, man. Like, just enjoy your grass over here, because the second you read, I think I read Othello first and then I saw the play, but I was like, when I was even reading it, I felt bad. I was like, oh, the human thing that we all do of being jealous, it's not a good show. It's not going to work in this world. You can't just go around being fucking jealous. It's stupid. And it's insincere. It's insincere, but it's not going to help anybody. It's like not, it's not the frequency you want to be on. You want to be in like a harmonic, like I'm bigging up my pals, I love everyone, I believe everyone, I trust everyone vibe. But if you want to get the heebie-jeebies, really about jealousy, I don't think there's a play or a film, there's no book that's been as good about jealousy as Othello. People think it's about race. It is about race, of course, but it's not just about that. It's like, ooh, jealousy is like sprinkled all around it, and you just go, oh my God. I think it was the first play I read of Shakespeare's, because everything else like paled in comparison in terms of this idea that you could write about something that would change people's lives and heal them, like en masse healing. Like if you could just be like, yes, each play of Shakespeare's is saying this. Even his little poems, even the sonnets are saying something that are about love. Don't do that or do this. Like it's a guide to being a human being. Like my mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, well then her breasts are done. Like if hair be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen rose damasked, red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath which from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know the music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess grow. My mistress when she walks treads on the ground, and yet by heaven I feel my love is as rare as any she belied with false compare. It's like the most perfect sonnet. I love that sonnet more than all of them, because I love all the sonnets, but like for some reason that one, he's like, you don't have to think, don't you think that I don't think she's perfect. Like my mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. The sun's better than her eyes, which usually it would be like in Romeo and Juliet, he's like, Romeo has stars for eyes. His eyes are like stars, and I see the stars when I look at his eyes. Like, you know, it's like this thing where usually you write being like, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, you know, your eyes are just like the sun. That's what you would think he says, but he starts the sonnet by saying, my mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Like my lover's eyes, my woman, nothing like the sun. Her eyes, nothing. Coral is far more red than her lips red. Like her lips are fucking pale. Coral's redder. If snow be white, then her breasts are done. Like her breasts are fucking tanned, or like they're not white, they're not pale. Like in Shakespeare's time, it was supposed to be that the paler you were, the nicer or something. Like you're white as snow or something, your skin's white as snow, but actually her breasts are done. They're fucking fried. They're like, you know, they're tanned. They're darker than snow. And if hair be wires, black wires grow from her head. And you're like, yes, that's disgusting. And he just keeps saying these things that she's not, you know, like, I've seen roses damasked red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath which from my mistress reeks. Like, her breath is disgusting. Her breath stinks. It's not the same as roses, you know. There's no perfume in her fucking face, because when she breathes, it's like a normal breath. It's not perfume. But then he says, and yet by heaven, I swear my love is as rare as any she belied with false compare. Like there's a lot of false comparisons that they make out there, but it's because she's imperfect that I love mine. I don't want her to be some fake thing. I want the real beauty. And that was the thing where I was like, this fucking guy knows what he's talking about. He's so deep. He's not like, let me just make a fucking poem. It's like, no, bitch, I'm actually going to be like changing people's lives. Like, here you go. This is what it means, that this is what real beauty is. That I love her because she's real. I don't want some like avatar woman. I don't want some like fake. I don't want the AI technology version. I don't want the filter. It's like, don't give me the filter online. I just want the real person, because whatever the real person is, that's who they really are. That's what I love. And you better love that. You love the soul of a person. You don't love like these external things like the fucking, you know, the dentist job, or like the, look at my skin shine, look at my skin glow, look at my skin laugh, look at my skin cry. Like the Bob Dylan poem about Woody Guthrie, like when you can't even tell what they've got on the insides, these people so pretty and their ribbons and bows. Like, you know, there's so many people out there who have ribbons and bows, but they're not a fucking person, you know what I mean? Like they're not, maybe their skin's shiny, but they're not genuine, soulful human. And it's not to say that someone with shiny skin is wrong. That's not what we're saying. We're saying like, you love deeper than the surface. Love is deeper than the surface. And what you love is the imperfections. You can't love something that's perfect, because he doesn't. Shakespeare never said love the perfect. He said we love imperfections. It's so baller. And the idea that you don't have to be perfect, it releases us all from whatever we thought we're supposed to look like. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just body dysmorphia, it's like image dysmorphia now, where you're like, oh, no one can actually look like that filter in real life. So there's not much point to doing the filters, you know, in real life. Because in real life, you want to have connection. You want to have like the divine feminine, the divine masculine. You want to have like all this stuff that occurs when it's really soulful. And it just feels like you're in a garden of joy and happiness. You want that prayer of truth to exist and be where you build. That's like the soil you build from in a relationship. So like if you have that, I think you're on the right path, and that's what Shakespeare was really on about. He wasn't fucking about. And people know different sonnets off by heart. I know them all, but some people know like a specific one off by heart. It makes me laugh when people are like, oh, I know like 33 or whatever. And I'm like, that's funny, because it tells you a lot about a person if they only know one of them, and like which one they know is funny, you know. But again, if all I knew was this one, it's quite funny. It's like so telling. It would be so telling. I like this feeling where we're gonna have the best year of our lives. We're walking out of here like in The Last of the Mohicans. Daniel Day-Lewis's accent is so like East Coast. He's like, we're walking out of here fast. And everyone has like raised him in England's like, and his Irish family are like, oh my God, he's doing an accent. All the Scottish people are like, he's doing like an East Coast American right there. He's doing like a New York, like a Manhattan it was like Manhattan. Native American tribes in the 1700s were like, this is Manhattan. And Daniel Day-Lewis is like, in the 1700s, he's like, we're walking out of here fast. And everyone else is like running after him, like, fuck's sake, you know, he's gonna keep them safe or whatever, so they have to run after him. Because they're upset that he got the horses to go away, because you can track horses, they're too easy to track, and because it's like, they're too easy to track, like, we're not going to keep the horses, you know. And the ladies are like, oh my God, they're like, how the frick are we going to walk, like, carry us, man, because they have corsets, so it's not a joke. Like, if you try to walk 2 steps in a corset, grown men would faint because you just can't even do it. Like, I couldn't even do it. Like, I was like lying down when I was doing all the films I had corsets in, but I did A Rose for Emily in a corset, and I had to just lie flat the whole fucking time because it's not funny. Like, all your organs are being crushed. It's like, how did they control women in the past? They just had the corset. Nobody had the vote because they couldn't think about anything. They couldn't even retain information because they had a corset on. And the other thing is, the corset's still there. They just changed it. You know, maybe it's not like a corset physically, but there's other corsets in place for women now. Where they're just kind of like, you don't get that. You don't get to have that because you're a woman. Ladies are like, what? Like, what do you mean? Or they're like, no, it's okay. You only get 25 pence. When a guy makes a pound, you get paid 25 pence. And women are like, what? Or they're like, all the ladies in the DGA don't really exist. There's only like between 3% and 10% or something female directors in the Directors Guild. And I remember looking at those numbers and being like, those are not healthy numbers for women. You want to have obviously 50% of the DGA be women, be female. Like, what the frick's going on there, guys? You know, something weird's happening there. And maybe it's not a corset physically, but it says something about... Imagine if it was the other way around, where we were just like, it's fine. You know what? It's the Directors Guild, and it's filled with 97% women, and the only male directors are 3%. People would be like, that's mental. Like, when you flip it and it's the other way around, people are always like, oh God, that would be so weird. How could we live in a world like that? You know? And we do live in a world like that. So my thing is, like, whatever it takes to shake the fig tree and get the fruit, and just be like, we need to... It's the same thing that happened with Sundance, where they didn't have that many female directors when I was a child, and I was an embryo, and I had my first film there when I was like 21. Good Dick went there when I was a baby. And then and then it was then where they have so many female directors now, and it's so much better because Sundance fixed it. They understood the program. They got the memo, you know what I mean? And then you get to have female voices in cinema, which is more diverse, it's more interesting, it's more like gonna be cooler. There's bits about it where you think it's normal. I mean, I went to an all-girls school. It's so normal to me. There were so many entrepreneurs around me as a child. Just not female entrepreneurs. My mum, president of the Polish Club. My mum's been like the president of so many things. Running things while being a mom, running the whole fucking world while being a mom, like, just kind of... she took being a mom really seriously, so it wasn't like she just didn't care about being a mom. She cared so much. I think she's the best mom on the planet, but also she was such a boss lady too, because she was in charge of so many things, like the Polish Club, which she ran. She was the president of, so they called her president, you know, like every Polish person in Scotland, in Glasgow, called her president. This idea that a woman can multitask will bring more to the table. Maybe we can like manifest for bigger groups. And also when you have high achieving groups, like what we did with Glow, where it's like everybody made their dream come true. It was a group of women. It was critically acclaimed. It was like everybody got paid. It was such a good experience. It was so healing. It was mass healing. It was intersectionally feminist. It was everything. And it showed like our characters it showed their like home life and stuff like that, where you never saw shit like that before. You know what I mean? If you were like seeing a character, you just saw them like being there for a second, but you didn't see like their mom and where their mom's from and stuff like that, you know? So we really showed that in Glow. And the idea you could have a show that was high achieving groups, won all the awards, was awarded and changed society. This idea that, what is that? What does it take to make something like that? And most of the time it's women and men working together. in a radical, like, bigging each other up form, where nobody's keeping score, but you're like, oh, you know, I big you up and you big me up, and then it's just like so infinite, you know, like this idea that Chavo Guerrero was just there for us, but also like could have been like our boss, but literally was like, you guys are teaching me all this stuff. Like he was teaching us, but like we all taught each other. It was like such a vibe of respect. And like I remember Chavo saying to me all this stuff where I was like, I thought I had been a power woman before, you know what I mean? Like I thought I had been like a feminist before, and then when we did Glow, it was like, it's another level, it's another level. And we could have done that show and nobody could have seen it. Nobody could have watched it, or it could have been crap and it never came out, or it could have been like, we didn't get awards for it, or it could have been like, nobody talked about it. But like The Rock, all these people said it was good, you know? All these real wrestlers were like, those girls are doing the real shit, you know? And people fucking watched it. Like, people watch it and they're like massive Mega Glow fans. I like the Glow vibe, talking about like community-based like stuff. It was not a theatre company, but it was like a TV company making the best TV of the moment for this like pocket of time where you're like, that really was the best TV. And we were just like kicking our bags. Like I remember the feeling of like kicking a bag and kicking the person and like swinging off the ropes, like that feeling of like letting the ropes like propel you forward. It's just such like a bouncy vibe. It felt so good to wrestle. I can't say how nice it was. And this is a high achieving group. Culture Codes is a book that you guys can read. And they talk about SEAL Team 6. They talk about like different footballs, like the ones, like the football teams that actually win, get awarded, and actually like win, what it took for them to win. And that it's really this feeling of the same thing that happens with the SEAL Team 6 and stuff like that. The weakest member is how fast you go. It made me cry that SEAL Team 6 talk a lot about their training, where all they would do is like try and get these logs up a hill, which by the way, like I don't want to deal with that. I'm like sitting at home with a cappuccino just being like, let me have an iced decaf latte while they do that. It's so like macho. It's so like, that's what you do if you have testosterone. It's like, let's all the men just like get together, see if we can pull it's so hard for women. Like we can't, like we don't have the upper body strength, first of all. And even if you have upper body strength, it's hard. But like that thing of like, dudes just were built to, they have testosterone every 15 minutes. They were built for battle and like to protect. So like pushing a log up a hill with all your guy friends who are in the SEAL Team 6 with you training, like who's going to be, which team is going to be the best SEAL Team 6 or whatever. And then this idea that you cannot go faster, even if you're the strongest guy in the group, you can't go faster than the slowest guy because then everybody drops a log. So you have to understand that you have to slow down and not push as hard and be in sync with the guy who's going as slow in the group, which literally to me makes me cry. It's like what society really is. Like, you know what? Let's give all the funding to people who are disabled. Let's give all the funding to people who have an issue that comes up. We haven't, like Tourette's, now we've made IceWare. Now let's give funding to that and like help everyone understand and have an understanding and like a forgiveness and like a we've got your back feeling. Because you know what, like for people of different cultures, for people of different backgrounds, for people of different like racial groups, like we want to like be aware of all the different truths about everybody and like what the sensitivities are, as opposed to just being like, let me try and lift this log by myself. When you can't actually do it by yourself, you need everybody who's weaker than you physically to come with you. You know what I mean? Like you need the whole fucking gang of a community. So you have to just like do that. And it was really kind of like similar to Glow, because it's like in Glow we had to be like, we are masters of our jobs, but also how can we serve the team here? And I know Abby Wambach said that thing that I love, where she said, because she's the only person I've ever seen female who could actually do a header, because headers are difficult and she's fucking strong. So anyway, I was like, Well, now there's more girls who can do headers in the American team for the female like soccer or whatever in the States. They actually get paid. They actually have equal pay, and they have like, they're training a lot to get the headers as strong as possible. But I remember Abby Wambach saying that she never scored a goal that didn't involve like 2 or 3 or 5 other girls or the whole team passing to her in order for that to happen. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just like fucking come out of nowhere and score a goal by yourself. It's your whole fucking team that gets you the ball, and then you can fucking pass it to see if someone else can score, and if nobody else is there, you'll try and score. But my thing is like, when she said that, I love that fact. That's what it feels like to be on a team, and that's what it felt like to be on Glow. It didn't feel like, oh, we're one person. It felt like we're one amoeba, we're one community of women. Like we're 16 actresses that have been given this opportunity to show elitism, be paid for it, get our awards. It's great writing. It's like healing the world. It's doing honor to the Glow girls themselves, who were these American wrestling pioneers, like athletes at their best, actresses who became athletes just to make money because they didn't have any money. They needed to feed themselves, and then suddenly it was like a thing. It came out of necessity, and it created this like huge, beautiful, like graceful, you know, flipping, flying, like, I'll be your base when you be the flyer, and then I'll be the flyer and you be my base thing. That's like, oh, it's really elegant, you know, like you feel like a superhero because you are a superhero, and you're just trying to change the world for the better. And still there's that humility where it's like, you can't go faster than the slowest member of the team, so just fucking tap into that. Like, there's no point having an ego at that point because it's not going to help the group. So people who are like too narcissistic, or individuals that have too much ego, they don't necessarily help the team. You kind of like, it doesn't help us like go and expand further. And I think that's why I love Culture Code, because it tells you a lot about those teams that really made it happen and what it took to do that. That it's this daily grind of years of work that then you see visually, like, wow, look at that beautiful thing happen. But like the preparation that went into it, and the grace and the glory of it, is really like that. It wasn't Abby Wambach by herself standing there just scoring a goal. It's like the reality of winning gold medals is that it's a community effort. And like Abby Wambach said, she never just like came out of nowhere and scored a goal by herself. It was always like 55 people that set up for her. This feeling that, you know, like Dana is like this idea of like girlhood, where you're looking at these next generations of the soccer players in the States that are really set up by ladies like the 99ers. When I finished Good Dick, it was like the day after we'd finished shooting, and people had said, you're not gonna finish it, it'll never happen. Or people said the craziest shit to me, like, I don't know why you want to be a director, it's too difficult. Or like, it'll be a slog every day, like don't think it's not going to be a nightmare every single day, it'll be horrible. Like, people said the fucking craziest shit to me before I directed the film. Not my pals and not my family, but like just fucking random people saying random shit will say the craziest shit to you. Like, they were like, you'll never come in on budget, you'll never come in on time. And it came in under budget, under time, like what the like, literally. But so the day that I'm finished Good Dick, I'm sitting like, I remember this, I'm sitting in Brentwood, and I'm like in the garden just looking at the trees, just being like, oh yeah, like nature. Because like, you forget when you're shooting, you forget about the world because you're so focused. And then I was like, wait a minute, actually, not only did I finish the whole fucking film, I got every fucking story point, I got every moment of the script. We got all the beats of the script, not just like the things that are in the script, the emotional truth I wanted to get in each moment, I filmed. So you're like, as a director, that fucking worked, and it was easy. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't a fucking nightmare. It was like a fucking paradise. It was living in heaven every day going to set. And when I finished, I just sat there, and I remember the TV was on, and the 99ers was on the TV, because back in the day, you could just watch something on TV in America, like, because it came on the TV. You didn't like you didn't have something that you could, it wasn't even TiVo then, like you couldn't even watch something that you planned. Like it was like just shit came on the TV and you watched it, and the thing that was on TV was the 99ers, the documentary about the 99ers. And that's where I fell in love with like American female football. I was just like, oh my fucking God, like Mia Hamm, oh my fucking God, like these icons. And Michelle, like doing it, what, like she had a broken foot or a broken leg or something, and I was like, she did the last chunk of the last moment, and she kept going even though she was like in pain. She was like running on a broken body, and I was like, that is fucked. And the other thing that's fucked is they were like, they had to wear, if you look at pictures of the 99ers, this is in 1999, like they got gold for America in the fucking World Cup. But they had been like not funded as a team. They didn't get paid. Like it was like, they didn't have anything. They didn't even have uniforms. So they gave them the guys uniforms because they didn't make female uniforms for football at the time, which is also fucked. They didn't have like a female version of a shirt, which is also fucked, but that's true. And they had to wear the men's clothes. So if you look at the team, they're wearing clothes that don't fit them. They're wearing guys' clothes, like literally 2 big t-shirts, 2 big shorts. Everything's too big. And you're just like, that is sad, but true. You can't see a picture of a 99er and like not see them look fucking mental, because nobody paid for them to have their own strip or their own like fitting done for their own outfits, which is so normal for the guys, but whatever. For the women, they were just like, the sky is not pink, the sky is blue, you know? And then people were like, look, the sky's pink, guys. Like, sometimes the sky's pink. Dudes were like, they won gold? What? You know what I mean? Like, it was such a funny time. And then I remember just feeling like there was a reason why the documentary about the 99ers was just on TV in California the day I finished Good Dick. And I could just sit there and watch it and be like, you know what, if they did that, I think I can do whatever this is going to be as a director, as a female director. Like, I don't think it's going to be that bad for me, because they literally just push the fucking gate out in terms of, push the goals out in terms of like where you're going, how you, what the fucking field is, you know? You're kind of like, they made it infinite. They fucking, it wasn't even like a glass ceiling, it was like a glass world, and they just like fucking burst it open. And there's still fucking challenges, and it's all continuing to be like, we have to keep bursting our own world up, but also remember that fact that the 99ers didn't even have fucking outfits, and they all looked like guys in like in the male, they're wearing the males, like the male team's clothing, which is like so funny. If you look at it, I'm not lying, it's the fucking most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, because I care about clothes so much, and I was just like, whoever made that decision for the money, who was their employer, was wrong. Like, whether they won gold or not, they should have had like their own fucking nice costume. Like, it's not that fucking expensive to just get them a kit. Like, it's not that much. Get them a fucking kit. They're doing shit that like was gonna change football forever and get women paid forever, you know? Everybody talking about the equal pay thing as well was like, we're literally in this era now where every second of them fighting for the equal pay, to me, is a worthy second. This thing that like, they're really having to push the boundaries forever and ever and ever. It feels a little bit like this. Like, this is my makeup, and you go like that, and you just move it, like, you know, you move the dial on the feminism like that. Like, every day you go to work, it's like that, and then eventually you're looking at it and you go, wait, it's over here now, like that got moved out the way. But then you're like, oh no, there's another one. So you kind of like, and we'll just go and we'll start again, it's fine, like we'll just go. And it's like every day you have to do that as a feminist. The point of plays, theatre, sports, the idea that you can actually have like a career in these things is still real. You can run to the theatre right now and be like, I want to be a stage manager, I want to be a lighting designer, I want to be a writer, here's my one woman plow is not a thing, but you could do, here's my one woman play, and you could do, here's my idea for the film we're going to do, and just do it. Like, there's no reason now to wait. You just want to do it now, because look around you and be like, I'm going to do it now with my people, because if you try and wait for like 75 other things to get in place, it's probably not going to happen. I also think that as an actor, for you to cry, for you to bring comedy, for you to bring the sensitivity of what it means to be a human being, and like, not be jealous of your other people who are out there. Don't be jealous of people who you're working with or you see from afar. Don't be jealous of them. You want to like big them up and support them on a energy level, because I feel like that's how you really get the jobs of your dreams, because you can actually like be somebody's hype person in a collaboration. And nobody's doing it all by themselves. You know what I mean? Like, even the guys who play Hamlet, they know that it's like they have so much shit to do with so many different people. It's like community-based effort. And if you're from the Ensemble Theatre Company, I want to work with you again. And I did Love, Loss and What I Wore at the Geffen. And when I did that, I was living in Brentwood, so my drive to work was like 5 minutes. And I remember going to like Flame Broiler for my dinner every night, because I didn't want to eat something in a restaurant. When you're doing a play, it's hard to like go to the restaurant first. You want to go to the restaurant after the play and relax. You can't like eat at a restaurant before the play. So I would eat at Flame Broiler, because one of the mums, like somebody's mum was there. There was like a kid there, and they had this Flame Broiler meal, and I was like, that looks so good. It was like chicken, like. And they had, my favorite thing about the States is you can go and you can be like, hi, I want soda water. And they'll give you like this. Like, instead of a Coca-Cola, they give you like this size of soda water. And then they're just like that. You know what I mean? Like, they fill it up, and instead of like a big thing of Coke or Sprite or whatever, I just had soda water. And a Flame Broiler, they just had soda water endless soda waters. A lot of the time they'll be like, it's refill forever. And I'm like, oh my God. So there's stuff like that where you, like, sometimes I'd go to the Whole Foods in Westwood and then just eat something on the run. But like, you can't eat a lot before the play, but you eat a lot after. And the party you would have after, like, I remember going to like a restaurant with Jenny, because Jenny also directed Love, Loss and What I Wore. And I remember thinking, how is this woman this much of a genius? Like, how does she have this capacity for inspiration? Because you just like, it's this endless, it's kind of like David Laveau, this endless supply of genius coming out her mouth. Jenny would just say stuff that was so helpful to your character, and literally would be like so like keyed in with you, as if it was like, as it is, like the stakes are so high, like it is life or death. You want to play it well. She wants you to be happy. You know, she wants you to soar, and all this is kind of like a coach. It's literally like a coach, and you win the gold or something, and they're like, oh my God, you won the gold. You know what I mean? Like, we knew that was going to happen. We planned it, you know? And when you throw the basket in the hole every night, they're just like, thank you God, like, thank you God that this is all working. And there was so many things that happened on Love, Loss and What I Wore. There was so many like people who came to the show, and walking through the Geffen, you feel this like, oh my God, like, this is where Helen Hunt did like What You Do About Nothing, you know. This is where all these people were like, we're doing this theater and it's so good. And then the show's over, the play's over, the run's over, and you get to look at it and be like, that actually happened. There's nothing sadder than the end of a theater run, because that's why I started doing films, because I was like traumatized by plays ending. Like, when I couldn't be Molly Malloy on the stage anymore, I was like, I have to be a theater director, because like, it's this thing where you've made this sand castle with everyone, and it's been beautiful, and it's so zen, and it's so healing. It's like a mass healing for the actors involved, for everyone involved, for everyone on the like crew, the stage crew, everybody, stage manager, everybody, the lighting people, everybody. And then what happens is you just like leave the sand the way it was. It gets to be, you get to leave it there, but like probably it's gonna like not be remembered by people. Like, you remember it, but nobody remembers it. So that's why I started doing films, because I was like, at least somebody's gonna go look and see Good Dick right now. You can watch Bitch, you can watch I'm the Same, you can watch Always Worthy, you can watch Collection, you can watch Love Danielle, you can watch everything I've been part of, Egg. You can watch all these films and go, oh, watch Girls, watch Happy TV show, like, go watch it, because like I made it with you in mind for these reasons, like, so that I could say, here's my antidote to the play's ending, because the film is forever. And you could like look at that. When I'm dead, you can see my films. And when I'm dead, you won't necessarily be like, maybe someone will read a review of Dublin Carol, but they won't like see a video of it, you know? Or Molly Malloy in Front Page, you're kind of like, you're the master of your life, and then you blink and it's kind of over. And I wanted the films to be there as this thing of like, this happened, like I was here, we're marking time, we're saying we worked together and it was beautiful, and we made something beautiful, we made something to help people in the world, we made something to heal these things, or to just end taboos. Or with Lion's Mouth Opens, we want to like heal a fucking disease, and that fucking film healed a disease. Like, you cannot say it didn't. And I'm like looking back just going, fuck, you know, that is actually what the intention was. So there's this poem on the internet that's like about this feeling that when I call you sister, bro, it's not lightly, because we are all sisters and brothers. And there's this, it's called Remember When We Forgot. It's on YouTube. And it's this thing that I used to watch before the plays, because it was just like, if I could do half of what this guy's doing with his friend Hannah Apperson, who's like, dum, dum. She's got her violin, she's like, dum, 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 keeping the beat for him. And you're like, there's something about like the female energy of like hitting a violin, and this like male energy of a voice just like being resonant, you know what I mean? And like the beat being kept and the voice continuing to go, because there's this like beautiful masculine and feminine energy. Like, that's what I love. You can look at Remember When We Forgot on YouTube. And then there's also Jeff Buckley's poem about, it's not any of his songs, but it's a poem about New Year's. He's like, this is my New Year's Day prayer. And he's just saying it. He's like in Brooklyn. It must be like in the 80s, very early 90s or late 80s, where he's like, you know, he's talking to his girlfriend and he's saying this poem about how, you know, you could have freaked out at your mom and dad's house, you could have had like a hard time. It's okay if you like want to throw away your television. It's okay if you have the right to dance full-bodied and naked and glorified. You know, you can dream. You have the right to dream, or like wild and radical dreams, and you have the ability to dance full-bodied with your baby, you know, with your child, glorified, you know, like having that thing where you're wild and happy. You're allowed to do that. You don't have to feel the weight of like all the fucking Christmases that were shit or whatever. Like, you can actually have a good time now and be lovers in the New York skyline, like with your lover next to you. And like, you can see this feeling of like the radical reality of what it means to just walk the streets of New York as lovers, or one-on-one with your lovers anywhere, just being like the healing mom that your city requires and your society requires. Like, if you're kissing each other and it's monogamy, you're doing something that's going like, where 1 + 1 = infinity. And it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's more than that. And you just go like, we feel it because we need it. Like, we need that wild nature in ourselves that's like healing others and like being artistic and helping the fucking world. And then, you know, you hear like an Aja Monet song and you're just like, I said to Amberly, my God, Amberly, like, we need to put Aja Monet in Always Worthy, because if we can have her song be in Always Worthy, and our film could be even a fraction of how beautiful that song is, then will have achieved something. Like, I went to Aja Monet shows in Brooklyn and I was just like, this woman is not just healing, but like guiding, as a guiding light, you know, precisely. Like, artists are precise. People are like, oh, you know, it's very like, what do they say? Artists have to suffer? No, artists don't have to. We don't suffer, but we have to be precise. We bring energy and we bring light and we bring alchemy to stuff. Maybe we alkalize a situation, or we bring a lightness to the dark, like we're the candle in the dark or something. But it's not difficult. It's not a challenge. Creating art isn't anything other than like precision. And like, you want to be like the guy who's cutting the garment, and you're doing it precisely, you're doing it straight. You can't fucking cut a garment like any fucking way, unless you're doing like, you know, Vivienne Westwood anti-fashion or something and going against that on purpose. But like, you know, all artists know what the fuck they're doing because they know what's coming out of them. They are precise. But I love Jeff Buckley. This is my New Year's prayer, that he had his own version of New York and his lover and his women, and he just wanted her to be happy, you know? This idea that the subway is there for you, you know, the community is there for you, the firemen are there for you, like, people are just fucking trying their hardest. The hood is there for you, you know, like, there's an idea that you could wear a top that says theater lives, or films are human, or whatever it means now to say the radical thing. I live without a filter, or like whatever it is now. I used to say, like, don't put makeup on me because I just want the world to see my fucking face, you know? Like, I don't care if I have, like, bags under my eyes, or, like, whatever the fuck that is, or, like, whatever a face does. Probably normal stuff. And, like, you know what I mean? As long as you're not, like, bleeding from a cut that you have, which would be a totally different story. Maybe you have to go home. Or maybe you're too sick or something. Like, you know, if you have pink eye or something, you might want to go home. Don't wrestle the girls. But, like, don't spread the pink eye around set. But like, other than that, man, like, you should just fucking be normal. My thing is always like, I don't usually wear like a bra. My character's not gonna wear a bra unless like she's like a businesswoman, you know. And even businesswomen have this thing because they work, so they're not gonna like have a face that doesn't exist on this planet. Like, faces exist on this planet, they exist in reality, so it's probably okay to like be normal. Also, searching for Deborah Winger is on YouTube now. You can watch it. Patricia Arquette's story about what it was like when she was like, why did Deborah Winger leave the acting business? You know, Deborah Winger, who is like our icon, she's the reason I'm an actress as well, because of everything she ever did, obviously, especially Terms of Endearment. And I can't explain how many times I've watched Terms of Endearment. It was on a loop in my house for some reason because it was so good. And like, kids' performances are so good in it. Like, the little children are so great. Seeing a couple who are like geriatric have a relationship, like Shirley MacLaine is actually shagging Jack Nicholson in it. It's so cool. And he comes to her house because he's like a NASA astronaut or something, and he sleeps with women who are like 20, and she's his neighbor, and she's like 60s, 70s or whatever. And he's like out of breath because she phoned him to be like, why do you come to my house? Just come over. And he came across the garden, and he's like, he's in his like swim trunks, and he's out of breath, like, and she's like, were you swimming when I phoned you? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, lucky for you, I didn't do all the laps I usually do. To me, it's like the funniest line in cinema. Like, I don't know if it was in the script. I'm sure it was in the script. But if he improv that line, like, he can get a medal, because it was like, it's such a foreshadowing of like, we're gonna have good sex now because I didn't waste my energy on doing laps all night. at my house in my pool, like in my swimming pool that I have, because he's like a NASA astronaut, which is also like so appropriate for him that was his job. But that's how he gets the ladies. In terms of endearment, he gets all these young girls because they're like, oh my god, you were a NASA astronaut. And Shirley MacLaine's like, you know, but she also has the scene where she's like, give my daughter the shot. This is so iconic that everyone feels when they're in a hospital with any family member. They're like, so can you give her the pain medication? And the nurses are like, yes, it's supposed to be a thing. And you're like, give her the pain medication just now because she's in pain. And they're like, right, but we have to wait another thing. And you're just like, give my daughter the shot. I felt like that in every hospital. Literally about every family member. And then also there's a thing where Deborah Winger, Searching for Deborah Winger is really about like what happens to actresses, where do they go, and like what happens to them, like if they have been used up, what does that mean like for them personally as a soul? Can you do something as an artist so that you're free of it? Like Frances McDormand, who I saw, who said, I want to get in the glow ring with you guys when we were at the SAG Awards, and she was there. And she didn't have makeup. She had like her short hair, you know, she was like, she's not trying to like do some random thing that doesn't help the children. But she said she wanted to do Glow with us, and we were just like, oh my god. And I told like Liz and Carly about that, and they were like, oh my god. But also like the idea that she also had a speech that year, but she's the one who in Searching for Deborah Winger, she's like, she said, I'm told Holly Hunter, like, we're going to corner the market where she's just going to have wrinkles because she's a character actress. She's just going to have wrinkles and like have it be, because then you're not destroying your face, you're not destroying your instrument. And you know, they're going to need like 55-year-old actresses or 65-year-old women to play roles, and then they can just have this cornered market where there's like a couple of them or whatever who are not fucking with their face, who never fucked with their face like me, and then like that would be ideal. And I remember watching that in my 20s or something. I think I was 20 or something when that came out, and I remember watching it with Amberly and us just being like, fuck yeah, man, like there's this like radical feminist in there that's like, you know what, I will just be what a normal woman is and see myself age because I want to see what it's like. Like I think Cameron Diaz said, like, I want to see what my face looks like when it's older, because it's just curious. I'm curious about it, because like that will be what it actually is, like what Shakespeare said about my mistress eyes is nothing like the sun. Like it's really the soulful truth of like, what does it look like if we don't fuck with it and we don't twist it? You know, we're not like Magua in Last of the Mohicans where we're fucking with everybody and like destroying everyone. It's like, don't destroy your whole fucking face. Don't destroy the beauty on your face. Like, see what it turns into, because then you can actually do something like as an artist where if you've taken it all away, you wouldn't be able to be employed because you just fucked it all up. Out of an insecurity that's literally, you know, that was like 25 years ago or something. But anyway, there's so many things they say in Searching for Deborah Winger, like what Jane Fonda says about acting, and how the only thing that she missed when she left, because she was with her husband for a long time, she gave up acting to be with her husband, and then she was like, the only thing I miss about it is this one thing. And you have to watch a documentary to be like, oh my god, like you just, like you cry tears like this. Like Amberly and I and all the actresses I knew watching it, we were just like crying watching Searching for Deborah Winger, being like, oh my god, like Jane Fonda's part. Whoopi Goldberg's there talking about how like what she had to do with her daughter, what she had to do for work, what she did, the choices she made. Like it's all so like real about what it means to be an actress and a mom, and like what it really means, you know, the thing that you could have these women like in it together, you know, how wow, like you just go wow. Anyway, I love you guys. I'm gonna go to Sick Coffee and get like 5 drinks.